So I was thinking about the last two videos I made. One was what it truly is your name, and how I started to trust my imagination. I was trying to combine these two. Now when I think about it, is that I was saying that if you said Edward to me, I would turn my head. You would get my attention. I would respond in some way to you. And so we have to, in a sense, try to get God to respond to us. You've heard it with certain people. They'll speak about impressing the subconscious mind. They'll say things like that. You can say that is like we're trying to get a response from something deep within us. That's another way of framing it. But the way you call my name Edward that's how I would respond to you. That's how you would get my attention. So we have to understand, what is God's name and how do I get his attention? And the name is I am, right? It's an awareness of being. And what I was trying to say with how I started to trust my imagination is that in those moments where it's very potent, you can say that I am calling on the name. I'm calling the name. What does that mean? It means that in those moments where the thought is very potent, I am feeling the reality that I am that different, I guess you say, way inside my imagination. So I go inside my imagination and I am a certain way in here. In this inner world of mine, I am being something. And let's say I want to be something else inside my imagination. That doesn't mean I believe it if I move somewhere. It's not until I feel the reality, the moment I feel like I touched it, I've touched that new state in me. It feels real is what I mean. The same way, if you've ever entered a dream and you felt it to feel solid, that's the moment it feels real. You can go inside of a dream tonight and try your best to wake up inside of the dream. It's not until you touch something in the dream does the dream feel real. So you can say that when I touch it, when I touch the reality of a dream, that's when I've alerted God. That's when I've got his attention. I called him the right name. I became aware of the reality that I am what I'm imagining inside my imagination. Because like I said, you can imagine something and it can go on by and you won't even think twice about it. And then you never really occupy it in that moment. Nothing feels potent about the thought. It sounds nice, but then you just kind of move on with your day, right? But try your best to call upon this name. Try to alert God. We have to get his attention. And you get his attention best when you actually touch the dream. And to touch the dream is to feel the reality of that dream. And if you want to find a way to feel the reality of that dream, you have to suspend the outer world. Give it up in a sense. And the only reality that exists is your imagination in that moment. And you feel the reality of it. And Neville would say that he would add sensory vividness because he's trying to mimic reality. So he's trying to give it senses. I think that you can do that. But I think that you can get hyperfixated on the perfection of that. As long as you don't get hyperfixated on the perfection. Because the point of imagination is to experience before the experience. We're trying to experience something before it happens. That's the point. You can think of it that you're trying to get things, but really the imagination is a power to feel beyond, or before anything happens. You go to experience things in the mind, and you experience you experience things best, or I should say you feel them to be real, in the best way when you feel yourself to be the thing you're imagining. So in this case, Neville would set up a scene. He would enter the scene as if the scene is happening to him, because that's what life feels like. It feels like it's happening to us. So when I go inside myself and I go to hear something, I feel like they're telling me this, like I'm hearing it for the first time. I suspend the idea that I'm doing it. I suspend the idea that it's just in my imagination. I suspend it all. And I just hear them as if it's my first time ever hearing them say something. And I'm just listening. I keep it so simple. That's how I feel the reality. That's how I've called upon the name. I've touched it as if it was real. That's how I would combine those two. So while in this world you say Edward and I turn my head, inside of the imagination, the way you call upon the name, the way you get God's head to turn, and really it's you, but the way you get yourself to feel that you've called upon the name is when you touch it. It's when you touch the reality. I don't mean physically. I just mean it feels real. You're touching something in the mind is feeling the reality of it. So I've moved on where when I first started to practice Neville, I was always afraid of doubting. I was always afraid that I was going to think something I didn't want to think. I was always afraid of everything other than really the point now, which is, can I feel the reality of what I'm doing? That's all that matters to me now. It used to be other things. It used to come out of fear. And you know what? When I would imagine out of fear, I just kept doing it even more. The more I did it, the more it grew in me. And I would imagine something scary, and then I'd be afraid something was going to happen. Or I would imagine something I just didn't want. And I couldn't seem to get out of it because I was making that the main focus. I was focusing on not doing things or focusing on being afraid I was going to do things. And then inevitably I would do those things in my mind. But it wasn't until I made the goal in my mind to feel the reality of the things I'm imagining that when that became my focus, everything became simple. I just try to feel what I'm imagining as real. I want to hear good news from somebody. I try my best to hear it. It sounds so simple, and it is simple, but it takes a practice. And the practice is just trying your best. That's why he would say in his books, people would do it over and over again until they felt the reality of what they were imagining. In one of his books, he spoke about a girl who was imagining, I think it was like an issue. I think it was an issue either with an employer or a family member or something like that. And the point was that she did it over and over again, he said, until she felt the spirit of that dream. And I think that's how he worded it there. But that's the point. Neville was telling people that you have to feel the reality of what you're doing. It's very important that becomes, if you have to do it over and over again, then do it with that in mind. That's the goal. Because I used to just repeat thoughts in my head, thinking that was doing something. But that's not potency. That's not a potent thought. A potent thought is when you feel it changed you, you felt something different. You really feel like it changed you to some degree. And you know if you persisted in that, you would be a changed person. That's what I mean. I don't mean just repeating things, which I used to. And I used to loop things in my head, thinking I was doing something, I was making progress. But like I said, it's just a mental treadmill. You think you're doing something, but you're really not doing anything. You really move inside when you touch dreams, when you feel the reality of them. And that's how we call upon the name, the true name of God, which is not something you utter with lips. And so I just wanted to blend the what truly is your name video and how I started to trust my imagination together. That by basically making the focus, feeling the reality of what I'm imagining, I'm calling upon the true name. Really. I'm getting God's attention. I'm getting, as you say, my own attention. Truly. Because you can think of it that way. When you're having thoughts that really don't spark anything within you, they don't motivate you, they don't really do anything, it didn't get your attention. Not really. It's not until you feel it to be real. It grips you. You feel so pulled and drawn towards it. That means you've called upon the name. You've gotten some attention. You got your own attention in a sense. So yeah, I just wanted to blend those two together. But again, thank you guys for listening. I do live streaming. I do Q&As. I go deeper on these topics as well. I have my books out and I do one-on-ones as well. Just go to the description. It's all there. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. You guys take care.